Davos is a city in Switzerland.
Yes.
So Davos is not a conference, it's a city.
Got you.
Davos, Switzerland. And World Economic Forum, they get together. To them, Klaus Schwab is the founder of World Economic Forum. I want to say he started it in the 70s, by the way.
Yeah.
And he's been at it for a while. It had a complete different name at first. It was called the European something Union. Can you, World Economic Forum, if you go, European Management Forum is what it was in 1971. This guy started it, just so you know, he started 7 years before you and I were born, 6 years before you and I were born. So he's been at it for a long time. And somehow, some way, he has now got the control and the ears of people like Justin Trudeau, people like Joe Biden, presidents, prime ministers around the world that are following his lead. Okay,
his lead in the fact that Pat, like world economic. I know it's economic, but how to run things.
I just want you to hear. This sounds like a movie. Just watch 10 seconds of this, just to kind of see how this is like. This is motivational speaking on steroids. Listen to what he says.
Okay,
dear friends, scientifically, this is not a climate crisis. We are now facing something deeper: mass extinction, air pollution, undermining ecosystem functions.
Mass extinction.
Really putting humanity's future at risk. This is a planetary crisis.
Pause it. Okay.
So this is scaring the shit out of people, number one. That's their goal.
It's a great way to get your attention.
100%. We're all going to die.
Did you ever go to church? Did you ever go to church as a kid where the pastor, would baptize in the following way? If you don't give your life to Christ, you will go to hell. Let me tell you what hell looks like. In hell, you'll be burning.
Yes.
Your skin, imagine temperature 5. You're like, holy shit, sauna's hot. I don't want to go to
coming.
And you're like, you know what? I'm going to put that water. Go ahead, whatever it is. I'm willing to get baptized in every possible way.
Yeah.
So it is a very effective tactic to get the world moving. But they unify together and they talk about, Al Gore said we should spend more money talking about climate change, and we should start defunding money that opposes anything with climate change. And some of the stuff they're talking about, you're just like,
I think it's theatrics, and I think that first of all, I had Peter Zion. Have you had him on this podcast?
No, we have not.
I had him on my podcast.
Everybody's talking about him right now.
I had him on my podcast. I read his book, and he's a global strategist who he would be hired for years. Like, so if you wanted to grow soybeans, if you had a company that grew soybeans, you wanted to know, he knows the moisture, the rainfall in Brazil. He knows everything about everything when it comes to the minutia. And he was breaking down the fact that if you think we're off fossil fuels, if you think that any of these countries are going to go it with just solar or hydro or whatever it is, that's adorable. That's actually adorable. It's adorable. You think our agricultural section, you think you're going to grow food without, you need irrigation. Guess what? You need gasoline to pump those fields. You need, for herbicides and pesticides, those are made with natural gas. Same with fertilizer. I mean, the fossil fuel print is crazy. I drive around in a Tesla, okay? When I bought that car, when I bought it, the lithium battery is made on a coal grid in China. When I bought it, before I got into it, I had already polluted. It was like driving an F-150 55,000 miles. Yet, in California, I get to be in the high occupancy lane because I'm not polluting the environment.
Yeah.
It's a joke,
it's
man.
It's a funny joke.
Until we come up with, what's going to get us out of this is not regulation, top-down regulation from the philosopher kings. What's going to get us out of this is innovation in material sciences and things like that.
Let me ask you guys a question. This is really mostly for you two, only because you just found out about what Davos was about 7 minutes ago. So
I use these. I use my hands for everything.
So the whole concept is that it's public-private partnerships, right? So you have governments and what is it? Thousands of heads of states or hundreds of countries, heads of states.
Sharing ideas. Like, how do you respond to a pandemic that's global? Things like that.
Well, yeah, correct. Meaning, like, so you also have these private companies I tend to trust those companies more than governments, right? I mean, private companies, corporations care about the bottom line, shareholders. So I tend to be like, all right, you guys kind of got something on. How do you think we've got to the point where we're only recognizing some of the negativity surrounding it, like the theatrics, the drama?
It's fun.
But meaning, like you don't have an organ, and I don't defend the World Economic Forum. This is just
Well,
posing
first
a
of all,
question.
those people are
Can I get to the? Let me ask you the question. How do we get to the point where we're not even highlighting any of the good, and do we even know any of the good that the World Economic Forum has done? You don't do this for 50 years and do no good.
a great question.
I'm more just wondering, like, what have they done? You look at this list of people who are here. This is the who's
Who's listening
of the world
John
and
Kerry.
America.
This is
senators.
I think people don't know them, and
Yeah,
so there's this thing. You don't know them, so it's a party you're not invited to. So the
Nameless
minute there's a party
faces,
you're not invited to, and they all get there in their private jets, and they're all powerful people.
Yeah.
The idea is, how could they ever be up to something good? But it's the same problem. I have such a problem with when they demonize somebody like Elon Musk, who's a risk-taking entrepreneur. And there's this whole thing about if you're an entrepreneur, if you made a lot of money, chances are you took huge risks.
Massive.
Chances are you worked, 18 hours a day for 30 years. Chances are you just thought outside the box. And people don't, that just reminds other people of the things they're not doing.
Yeah.
And we all have some of that in us. So I think sometimes there's a lot of that. Although I think a healthy distrust of powerful people when they get together
sure.
and start planning our lives, that's a good thing. I'm not a conspiracy theorist, but I do think it's kind of a good thing to kind of worry about. What are you guys doing there? And why are you making rules that I have? Well, like, what about my voice? That kind of stuff.
And that's why I think
European
the point you made at the onset of the podcast was so powerful, is that you have these elites on the coast. That's just in America.
Yeah.
Now extrapolate that to the world.
Yeah.
The elites of the world making decisions for the farmer or the mechanic or the comedian using his hands. Like
Yeah.
that I think is ultimately your point, is that why it's like such negative disdain at these people. But if you look at the list, it's like, I'd like to know the names of the people that are there to hold them accountable. Like this, Klaus Schwab seems like if Austin Powers was written in real life and they're like, who do you want to play Dr. Evil? It's like,
he has
Klaus Schwab.
that German accent.
You have a German people.
Very, I want to make everybody a machine.
Yes.
With machine hearts and machine minds.
So like,
I trust that
think
guy.
so him is you talked about this, Pat, like what a horrible face for a company. But if you look at these people that are there, these are actually the people, movers and shakers, you would hope trying to help the world. It's just,
I think they do. I don't think they're out to destroy the world. I think everybody wants to create the world in their own image. I mean, I'm sorry, but the Iraq War was that you had a group of people who most had never been to the Middle East, certainly didn't speak Arabic, didn't know much about didn't know even the difference between a Sunni and a Shia, and had the hubris to think they could restructure the Middle East.
Right.
Babylon, Iraq, been around 5,000 years. That's a large historical footprint, but we're going to come along and restructure your country. Yeah. Right. And it didn't go that well.
no.
But that's...
What is the list, by the way? Can we see the name? You keep hiding the names at the top. I'm thinking like Rob is on the inside.
These are Tony. Dude,
John Kerry, Tony Blair. Keep going up. Let's see who else is a chief secret
Callen,
intelligence.
Brian
MI6.
Callen.
Zach Goldsmith. Richard Moore is my nom de guerre.
But look, Rob, you're going the other way. I mean, you look
City
at
of London.
I saw Joe Manchin, Kristen Sinema. These
Yeah,
are U.S.
they're there.
senators.
Lord
Brian
Mayor,
Kemp,
Lord
governor
Mayor.
of Georgia.
Beyonce?
Okay. What?
What?
Beyonce's in Dubai. That's a whole. Keep going up.
One of
Keep
the-
going up. Keep going up. Keep going up. Keep going up. Let's see who else.
Pritzker, the
Keep going up.
governor of Illinois, right?
Minister of State Finance Affairs.
Then you
for-
see a lot of Ahmeds and Mohammeds.
Oh,
a lot
Ahmad,
of them.
Abdullah. Oh yeah, that's serious.
Yeah, a lot of
There's
those.
some money up there, guys.
Yeah,
There's
that's
some money.
the oil money
Vitaly
right there.
Klitschko.
Did you see the
UAE.
one guy that
Klitschko.
one guy is giving a speech, and he says, look, am I going to be the only one person that's going to talk about? We're going to get together at World Economic Forum, and we're going to talk about climate change, but nobody wants to talk about billionaires not paying taxes. Are we going to do that? Are we all going to come at a meeting like this, and no one wants to pay their fair share of taxes?
Oh great.
He said that at the World Economic Forum?
As a panel,
Oh,
as a panelist said that, and it was quiet.
Oh,
He was lifted out, but like...
Yeah.
Well, they had his funeral 6 hours later. Sweetheart of a guy.
He disappeared.
Yeah.
Are you
No, I'm
serious?
kidding. Oh my!
He just died.
Yeah, he became.
By the way, that would be such a Klaus
I believe it,
Schwab,
yeah.
Vladimir
He just
Putin thing
died.
to do.
Yeah.
And by the way, we had his funeral
Are
6
you
hours
serious?
later.
He died
I totally
suddenly.
believed you.
Yeah, he died suddenly.
He jumped out of a window. He had to.
have very sad news.
Have you seen this
regret
or
to
no?
inform
Have you
you.
seen the speech about the guy at the?
No.
You haven't seen it? Anyways, he says this.
Do that at the World Economic
But
Forum.
Patrick, what do you
calling
think?
out
Really,
your own
you think,
people.
what are your thoughts, honestly?
Look, here's.
I mean, first of all, there are no Assyrian names there, so that's a huge problem.
That's the problem. The
working on it.
representation for the look.
No Patrick.
We have more Assyrian representation here than anywhere in the world.
Yeah, that's the
40%.
problem. And that's
Two
a
out of
problem.
five.
It's me and him. That's
God,
crazy.
I know. That's true.
Insane, dude.
Go to the top of the list, by the way, if you don't mind.
I'll tell you this. My idea with a meeting like this
at
that
this.
they have. Yeah, I mean, listen. Here's all you got to know.
How long?
By country.
Pretty
How many
much every
people?
country, the most powerful people are there. Elon Musk is like, I'm not going to a boring meeting like this. And they said, oh, we haven't invited him since 2015. They bragged about it.
Okay.
So Elon Musk says he hasn't been at Davos since boring is, organizers are going to keep going down. They said, yeah, they haven't invited him since 2015. So, listen, they're defending themselves as well that we don't really want Elon here. So if you don't want Elon there and he's the guy worldwide, doesn't give you a lot of credibility if you're trying to save the world. He's an operator doing it.
Yeah.
I don't have a problem with a meeting like this if there is what? Debate.
Debate. Yeah, there is
Yeah.
none.
If you get together and the panel all agree, what the hell are you getting together for?
Well, that's a great point. Because I would say with all these different people, human beings don't agree. Right here in this room, if I brought up one subject, greatest basketball player in the world, we'd all have
forget it.
an opinion.
Yeah.
So at the end of the day, people don't agree, and you have to worry about one of the things that James Madison, when he wrote the Federalist Papers, was all about faction. How do we guard against faction? Because you have balance of powers and you break up, you have checks and balances in government, but it takes one charismatic leader to get a lot of power and influence and then absorb another faction and then absorb that faction. Pretty soon, one guy's controlling everything. That was the biggest challenge facing. That's why James Madison is a genius and he figured out a way to avoid that. So, but I think in this case, you got people that don't speak the same language. They're from different countries, different cultures. They don't like each other. They have competing interests. So the idea that they're all getting together, like there's this Illuminati. My buddy made a lot of money, and he's in the banking world, and he wanted to get this huge fund together. It's so funny, and he wanted to get these 6 billionaires together. That's all I want to do, just in a room, so he wanted to create this fund. He had this amazing idea. He's made crazy money. He owns banks. So he wants to get these guys. He runs in these circles, and because I was talking about conspiracy. He calls me up and he goes, hey, dude, let me explain something to you, okay? I tried to get 6 billionaires together, and I couldn't get them in the same room because they all hate, because one guy had banged this guy's wife.
Oh, God.
The other guy had screwed him in a deal. Yeah. They all hated each other. They all wanted to kill each other. So they weren't going to work together. And that's probably way more typical, thank God, than it's not.
Yeah.
Now, there were secret pacts in Europe. I mean, before we had democracies and stuff, a war would start, and you wouldn't even know what was going on because the Austro-Hungarian Empire is talking to, this group over here, and, they would create these secret alliances. But I think that that's harder to pull off now.
Yeah.
I hope.
So if you like this clip and you want to watch another one, click right here. And if you want to watch the entire podcast, click right here.